Okay, a very warm welcome to everyone, and thank you all for zooming in today to join what I think is going to be a fascinating panel. I would first like to extend my thanks to Her Excellency Cara Owens, the British High Commissioner to Singapore, as well as the UK Department for International Trade, who have worked with us to bring this panel to you. My name is Xian Hui, or HH as I'm more commonly known, and I'm the Executive Director of Investments at SGInnovate. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, SGInnovate is a global early-stage investor in emerging technologies backed by the Singapore government. Because of our focus on deep tech, which as you know is a constantly moving target, we take a holistic view of the whole investment process. Apart from the investment itself, we also undertake community building activities to build a vibrant ecosystem around specific areas of emerging technology. Post-investment, we work with our portfolio companies to help them meet the milestones that will facilitate their new round of funding. Today's topic really could not be more apt given the global trend towards digitalization, because with more data being collected, we can reasonably expect new insights and business models to be uncovered through the judicious application of AI. Singapore seeks to harness this new opportunity through our national AI strategy, which is enabled through institutions such as IMDA and AI Singapore to transform businesses in 5 key sectors: transport and logistics, smart cities, healthcare, education, safety and security. Digitalization and AI have actually been identified as being critical to our post-pandemic recovery, and programs targeting every tier of the economy in these sectors are being rolled out. We are already getting an inkling of the huge potential AI brings to various industries, not just through reports, but also through our own investments in startups such as Tiger, IDA, and Prowler, which is now called Second Mind, who use natural language processing and machine learning to address operational inefficiencies in the fintech, insurtech, and logistics sectors. However, I would like to end on a note of caution. While we remain big believers in AI, we must also be cognizant of the fact that as we collect more data and process this data using complex AI algorithms, the carbon footprint that is attributable to AI is going to increase due to power consumption. It is therefore just as important that we explore advances in semiconductors, sustainable energy, to fully realize the potential of artificial intelligence. So with that, I'd like to hand the time to the High Commissioner to say a few words. I look forward to the panel to come. High Commissioner, please.
Well, I'm just checking that I am on mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Cara.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. So, Xian Hui, HH, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this, and welcome to everybody who is dialed in from the UK, from Singapore, from elsewhere. I am really delighted as the British High Commissioner in Singapore to be part of the opening of the AI and Future Industries event with our partners in SGInnovate. It's really brilliant that we've had this chance to bring together outstanding UK and Singapore stakeholders to share their own experience and to explore further tech collaboration, particularly in AI. Undoubtedly, as Xian Hui was saying, machine learning and AI have touched most of us in our day-to-day lives, from the intelligent assistants, or mostly intelligent assistants that help us with our everyday tasks, systems that protect our money from fraudulent transactions, or devices that offer medical help from the comfort of our own homes. These are just some of the examples of what AI allows us to do, and it is really, I think we're all really conscious that this is just the beginning. There's more that we can do to harness AI's potential to transform how we diagnose diseases, how we tackle climate change, how we solve manufacturing problems, how we build our homes, and also to deliver better public services. In recent years, governments, businesses, and civil society groups have worked hand in hand to try and make the UK a hotbed of innovation and entrepreneurship aimed at developing and deploying AI across society and the economy. It was back in 2018 that the UK announced the AI sector deal, which was a £1 billion investment by government, industry and academia to support the sector. And these set up foundations for areas that we'll be focusing on: ideas, people, infrastructure, places, and the business environment. In March 2021, the UK announced a new AI strategy, which focused on three things. Number one, how the widespread use of AI technologies is going to aid the growth of our economy. Number two, how we can make sure that our use of AI is ethical, safe, and trustworthy. And number three, how we can make sure that we build resilience in the face of change through an emphasis on skills, talent, and R&D. Our ambition is to deliver a robust strategy that will nurture AI pioneers, to accelerate new technologies and bring them to market, to unlock highly skilled jobs on which our economy and the Singapore economy absolutely depends, to drive up productivity right across the board, and to cement the UK's status as a global science superpower. That's a big claim, but all of the investment and the thinking that is going into our strategy in science and tech is helping us cement and maintain that position. I'm proud to say that UK AI continues to go from strength to strength, and Shenwei has already mentioned some of the companies that were born in the UK, and you saw some of them on the videos while you were waiting to come into the event. We're home to world-class AI companies such as Benevolent AI, Darktrace, Babylon Health, who you'll be hearing from later. And we also continue to be an attractive destination for investments in AI. In 2020, UK companies that were adopting or creating AI-based technologies received £1.78 billion worth of funding, which is more than double the amount raised by French and German companies, who were respectively at £525 million and £386 million respectively. It really is a good place to raise funding. We remain steadfast in our commitment to working with international partners like Singapore to push the boundaries of what we can do with AI and how we're able to use it to tackle challenges that we're currently facing while remaining safe. In June 2020, the UK, Singapore, and 12 other countries in the European Union joined together to create the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. As the founding members, we will support the responsible and human-centric development and use of AI in a manner that's consistent with human rights, fundamental freedoms, and our shared democratic values, as elaborated in the OECD recommendation on AI. So today, I encourage all of you to really listen to the experience that you're going to hear, but also to pepper questions to this really fantastic and distinguished panel of speakers from Rolls-Royce, from Babylon Health, from Lazada, Infineon Technologies, which is all going to be moderated by Sam Evans from our digital trade network partner, TechNation. I believe this will be a really good opportunity to hear about their experiences and the challenges they face and the lessons they've learned from adapting AI within their organisations, and also give a window into some of the future plans they have for AI's further development. I want to thank once again our partner SGInnovate for helping us to create a platform for this exchange and for continuing to open doors for further tech collaboration between the UK and Singapore. You really are an absolutely fantastic, committed, innovative and imaginative partner. We're really grateful. To everybody who's listening, please don't hesitate to reach out to my team at the Department for International Trade at the British High Commission if you want any more information about UK tech initiatives, about our policy framework, and about organisations you can work with. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what the panellists have got to say, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about successful partnerships that are born from this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, High Commissioner. Thank you, Xianhui, for setting the ground so well before our event. Next up, I'd like to invite Samantha Evans from TechNation, our moderator for today's event, to kickstart the session by sharing her opening remarks as well as introducing the rest of our speakers for today. Sam, please.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And thanks to SGInnovate and the UK Department for International Trade for inviting me to moderate the panel today. It's great to be here. And it was already great to hear from Cara Owens, the the British High Commissioner for Singapore and the UK's new AI strategy and the UK's involvement with the Global Partnership on AI. It's really exciting times for this sector. So my name is Sam Evans. I'm the Head of International at TechNation, based in the UK. We're a growth platform for UK tech companies and founders. And I thought I'd give a really quick introduction to TechNation and more of the work that we'll be doing across Asia Pacific in the next few years as part of the Digital Trade Network. So TechNation is based in the UK, and our role is to support UK digital tech companies scale through a series of activities and programs depending on their growth journey. Over 800 companies have successfully graduated from TechNation's growth programs, including 1/4 of all UK tech unicorns ever created, which now stands at 91, which is an amazing number. More to come next year, I think. The TechNation visa program has seen over 3,700 applicants processed, supporting the brightest and best international talent to join our UK tech ecosystem, including those from Singapore. And we've delivered more than 70 industry-leading reports on the UK tech ecosystem, all of which you can find on our website. And please reach out to anyone in my team if you want some more information on that. So here in APAC, TechNation, we are supporting UK scale-ups grow across the region as part of the UK government's Digital Trade Network. And we just launched our first cohort of our international global programme in Singapore back in March, which saw 12 of the UK's best scale-ups accessing trade and investment opportunities in the market. And we've recently secured our head of APAC, which I'm very excited about, based in Singapore, Maxime, who headed up a UK AI company, Winnow, scale across Asia, tackling food waste in commercial kitchens. So he started with us in May. So we're really excited to be building our team out to support more UK companies as they access the market. So today, I'm really delighted to be moderating the panel on the impact of AI on global economic activities, and that's a mouthful, with experts here in APAC. We've recognised the importance of AI in the future, and we've had three cohorts go through our applied AI growth programs, which is about 90 companies on different levels of scaling journey, all of which are internationally mobile now and seeking opportunities across the Southeast Asia region. Between 2013 and 18, UK tech scale-ups have raised £6.8 million of investment. And according to our most recent report in 2021, European companies have raised over $552 billion in artificial intelligence investment in 2020, which is a 25% increase from 2019. And 2020 was a record year for VC investment in this field, leaping up by 17% to more than $44 billion globally. And there's many UK companies in this sector that are truly world leading, and we're really excited to be partnering with those in Singapore. And with that, let's kick off the panel. So I'm going to invite each of our panelists to introduce themselves, their companies and their positions within that company. And I'd like just to have them add a few comments on why AI is really important to their companies. So I'm going to begin with Vicky, please.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks for your intro as well. My name is Becky Bangu. I'm the Regional President for Rolls-Royce, based here in Singapore, covering the region of Southeast Asia, Pacific, and South Korea. And when we talk about the topic of AI, our journey really started back in 1980s. That's when we started looking at machine learning, AI, advanced analytics, and the impact that would have on our engine test beds. So when we make an engine, we put an engine into a test cell, and we actually test the performance before it goes onto the wing of an aircraft. And the analytics that we derive from there allows us to determine the performance in actual field. From 1980s, we progressed on to what we call the engine health monitoring. So we're able to monitor 6,000 to 8,000 flights on a daily basis. That's 3,000 engines in the sky at any one time. And on a daily basis, we get about 5 million parameters, data parameters that we use to unlock insights on the performance and the safety of our products and communicate with our airlines on where operational efficiencies can add value. And to do this today, we have a dedicated core team within the company called the R² Data Labs. And they've been developing deep insights into how we can improve our supply chain connectivity and capability, even do analysis on market market advancements and where the opportunities might be coming from. But the core of it is really in our operations. And as we look at the very near future, we're very much integrated with the cloud-based services. 200 of our products and services will be coordinated with that platform. But it really is the value chain that the AI unlocks, because it improves our quality of products and services, it enhances safety, it improves productivity quite significantly, and there's lots of cost avoidance issues that come into play as well. So there's really 5 different areas. The first is design. Design of an engine is where we really use analytics and AI capabilities, because we design an engine, we test it to see where improvements can be made. So when we make the next generation to improve the fuel efficiencies or reduce the emissions and reduce the noise, we have all of data that can input into the design. The next is the testing of the engine and the analytics that I described earlier on that's associated with that before the engine is then delivered to our customers. The core is really in 2 different areas, which is manufacturing is the first one. We have 18,000 parts and components that go into one engine. So there's a huge amount of automation and robotics and the opportunity of production health monitoring. So it's not just the products and services, but the inventory that's in our books, to be able to keep that flow line really flowing. So production and equipment health monitoring of the facility becomes really important. The life cycle of our products and services is key. Our engines are out in the market for 20 to 25 years. So machine learning, the diagnostics and prognostics really unlocks a huge amount of insights for our customers and airline operators, and also for the future generation of engines. The life cycle behavior that's also associated with MRO, the maintenance, repair, and overhaul, because a huge amount of data is collected from operational data. We get data from repair records invoices. From this, we can develop quite significant repair strategies that can then be filtered into the automated inspections. So these are some of the areas that we have been embarking on, not just for the last few years, but last few decades. And there's still a lot more opportunity to unlock, and really looking forward to our conversation later on, Sam.
Thanks, Vicky. That's really helpful background, really important stuff. And Mooney, I'm going to come to you next.
Yes, hey, thanks, Sam. First of all, good afternoon to everyone connected to this event, online event, and greetings of the day for the people who are connecting outside Singapore. I'm Mooney. I'm Mooney Vinay. You can call me Mooney. So I lead the data and AI regionally for the enterprise and intelligence of Lazada. So pretty much deal with the security risk and the finance, human resources related analytics with the AI and data in Lazada. And talking about the importance of AI, I think I'll put it into 2 phases, before COVID and after COVID. So before COVID, I'm sure AI was fundamentally integrated very well into the operations of our company. So we were predominantly using AI to get more traffic, convert more sales, and probably some efficiencies in the logistic operations, some automations in the logistic operations, and also maybe predominantly to tackle the fraudsters and the cyber attacks. And then it was adding a real good value to the company, right? Especially a marketplace model where you're dealing with millions of customers and millions of sellers connected to a robust platform. AI, I think it's fundamentally important. But surprisingly, what happened after February, March rather, 2020, I would give you the scenario, right? The farmers in Cameroon Highlands, at the cradle of the Malaysian farming industry, dumped hundreds of tons of vegetable waste because they could not able to sell it because of the lockdowns. So then when Lazada went and approached these farmers, and then we could able to help connect these farmers to the online ecosystem. And then we could able to sold 3.5 tons of veggies in like half an hour. And then over 3 weeks, I think we sold more than 70 tons of the vegetables from these farmers and then distributed across the Southeast Asia. So look at a fundamental value that a marketplace model can add, right? Not just to the company, but also to the site. But imagine behind the scenes, if you look at the value chain of the marketplace model, the logistics, the operations, the core platform itself, the technology, all these are very well integrated with the automation and AI, without which it wouldn't have been possible. And especially in the Singapore, we also had a series of lockdowns. most of the physical shop owners, they could not able to operate the business as usual, right? So that's when they were looking for a digital presence and then create another channel to sell their goods. So which is exactly when we collaborated with these sellers, and then we enhanced our operations through the advanced AI models, and then quickly onboard them with very easy and simple registration policies, right? And then with which we could able to from March 2020 until today, I think every month we're talking about at least doubling the number of people who open the shops in Lazada. So it's not just contributed to the business here, it's also contributing to the Smart Nation Singapore initiative. And then we are very well in center of it, and it wouldn't have been possible with the automation and the presence of AI in the operating models. Thank you, Sam. Back to you.
Thanks, Rini, and that's definitely something we can touch on later around, the equality and how AI might improve or, disadvantage different communities. So that's really helpful. We'll touch back on that later. I'm going to go to Nico next.
Yeah, hello, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm really gladful to be part of this very nice ecosystem here and this panel as well. So I'm with the company with Infineon Technologies. I'm with the company more than 20 years already, currently responsible heading the Center of Excellence for Artificial Intelligence. And that's about bringing AI into the business, really helping the teams to take advantage of AI, innovating faster and creating value for our customers in the end. So Infineon with our semiconductors, especially in connection with AI, are quite instrumental for many of the innovations coming up, and also provide a contribution to some of the pressing issues in the society, managing scarce resources, managing energy efficiency and these things. So our vision really is to make life safer, easier and greener. And as part of that, we are dealing in different markets, providing solutions in the automotive segment, solutions for e-mobility and automated driving as one example. Another big area is about any type of power and energy conversion, starting from renewable energies, but also the transport and the consumption of this electricity, but also in the applications, make them more energy efficient. Sensors, new types of sensors interacting with machines in a new way, highly enabled by new sensor technologies, but also AI is a very important area. And last but not least, to connect these things, make it power efficient, safe and secure, is really dealing about security solutions, bringing it into embedded control world, and this then provides the capabilities to make it safe, secure, transparent, trustworthy. This is enabled by these controller solutions. So some areas about why AI is really so important for us. First of all, of course, we are a user of AI also in the way how we work ourselves. So not only in the area of manufacturing and how we design the products, obviously, especially in semiconductors, but not only in our industry, we create a lot of data every day along these design and manufacturing processes. AI is just one additional means to analyze and really draw conclusions from this data. It is not to replace people, but really to help the people to make better decisions, faster decisions, and so on. It doesn't work without the people. In the end, it is about the people and how to bring this on the street. But more and more, starting from the design and manufacturing, also it's about interaction with the customers, how to make the customer more successful, customer experience, modeling, providing insight to the customer. And this brings me to the second area, basically, is we are also with the semiconductors enabler of AI solutions in these applications. So we currently see the conversion in the market from mostly cloud-based solutions now really moving and being complemented by new solutions at the edge, as it is called, AI, OT as a big topic. This is where all these ingredients, safety, security, connectivity, AI, power efficiency, where these come together and to really make a complete solution out of that, to able to deploy that to many different applications. It's quite a complex topic, and this requires really these to be kind of easy to use, easy to integrate, easy to apply in the applications. That's what we are really aiming for and working for, and that keeps us busy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, thanks. And last but not least, I'm going to go to Mubasher.
Great, thank you very much. Well, firstly, hi everyone, great to meet you all, and great pleasure to be part of this event. So I'm Managing Director and Chief Medical Officer for Babylon here in the Asia Pacific region, based here in Singapore, and I'm a GP by clinical background. So for those who don't know Babylon, we're a global healthcare company using a digital first and AI first approach to improve healthcare and deliver healthcare at scale. We're a relatively young company. We only launched 7 years ago, but we've got a bold mission, which is to put affordable and accessible healthcare into the hands of everyone on Earth. And I remember when we came up with that mission, as we all sat around a single table in a small startup in London, thinking, how on earth are we going to achieve this? And it became quite quickly apparent to us that, we were going to have to leverage technology in a different way to what had been done previously, and certainly what had been done on a large scale. And essentially, if we were going to have any chance of achieving our mission, we had to start using technology like AI to really help us improve healthcare, especially in settings where resources are scarce and there's simply not enough funding and not enough doctors and nurses. So AI has really allowed us to empower patients. It's allowed us to provide our clinicians with the tools to augment their clinical practice. And most importantly, it's allowed us to deliver healthcare at scale. We've gone from being a tiny startup in London to being a global healthcare service, providing our services to more than 20 million people globally. So I'll pause there. I know we've got lots of other questions that will be coming up. So I'll hand back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Mubasher. And I'll just point out, anyone in the audience, we've got a lot of people joined us today, more than 160 people. So I'll expect the Q&A box to be buzzing. So please do add your questions in there, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. But Mubasher, I'm going to stick with you. With the year that we've just had, healthcare is obviously a really important thing. And how do we scale that and make sure that everyone has the right healthcare and the right kind of coverage? So really, one of the questions that I was thinking about when I was looking at some of the stuff that Babylon Health are doing is how do you think that AI as a set of technologies and capabilities has changed over the last 5 years? And what do you think is going to be happening in the next 5 years in these key areas of the economy like healthcare? And I'm guessing that that's accelerated quite significantly in the last 12 months, especially around adoption. So I'd love to hear a bit more about that from you.
Sure, yeah. And I'll focus on kind of, a sort of personal experience first, because of course, there's so many different examples of how AI's what's happened in the past 5 years, in lots of different, key disease areas. But if I focus on kind of, certainly kind of my own personal experience at Babylon, in the past 5 years, I think one of the key ways that we've used AI is really to empower patients. So giving them access to information that they would normally have had to consult with a clinician for. So that might be our AI-powered symptom checker or our AI-powered health assessment tool. But we've also built the AI specifically for medicine, and it's important, to sort of recognize that, and because there's some features which in healthcare are really important when you think about AI. So people often talk about a black box in AI, and it's important that you don't have that in medicine, because it makes the data very difficult to interpret. So instead, we've created AI models that are fully explainable, so humans can understand how we've reached our conclusions, and that's known as interpretable or transparent approach in data science speak. But by doing that, we ensure that the AI has continued to develop over the past 5 years, kind of behind the scenes, but all of the updates, are approved by clinicians. We've also, used AI to deploy healthcare at scale in the last 5 years, and I think that's a key feature of AI. Obviously, it helps us automate many processes, and that includes some of the most developed settings in the world, such as here in Singapore or the UK or the US, but also some of the most resource-poor settings in the world, such as Rwanda, where we're providing our AI tools to healthcare workers to use in a variety of settings. A project that's being done in combination with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the government. But in the last 5 years, I say we've also really kind of pushed the boundaries with certain AI applications. So things like natural language processing, which is the ability for a machine to understand language and generate a response. And so our AI has been created so it can understand medical terms and data, so that it can gather information from medical data sets, so it can read and learn from patient health records, including consultation notes made by the clinicians in the different countries where we work. But I think, thinking forward to the next sort of 5 years, I think, whilst it's fantastic that, we can see the progress that's been made, it's also really important to recognize we've got a lot more to do. And one of the things that we're really excited about is where we're pushing a whole new area of AI, which is causality. So if we think about it, machines have been programmed to reason by associating a potential cause to a set of conditions. Or, I guess what might be considered by some as almost curve fitting, but machines don't actually know the cause of a relationship between variables. So if you put that another way, you might, have the ability to associate fever and malaria, but the machine may not necessarily have the capacity to know that malaria causes fever. And so once that kind of causal framework is in place, it becomes possible for machines to ask counterfactual questions about the cause of relationships and how those would change if some kind of intervention was introduced. And it's a whole new area of AI. And for us, we feel the implications are really colossal. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, it seems like it's at the very start of a very long journey, but really amazing things that are happening there. Anything that democratizes health is always a good thing, isn't it? I'm going to jump to Bicky actually, and just ask him a little bit more about, you said you've been working with AI machine learning for decades now. What have you seen in the last 5 years that's changed? And I know that you have a trustworthiness and ethics framework, so it'd be really great to understand a little bit more about that.
Thank you. And for us, over the decades that we've been working on, it's really more recently that we've started really focusing on the trust and the output of the AI, and really not just connecting internally, but externally with societies and really with communication with people. So this requires AI to be used ethically, and this requires AI to be understood as a trustworthy partner. So acceptance and permission within our society is key here. And internally within Rolls-Royce, it just started from a very safety mindset. We're just very conservative when it comes to safety. And the example that I shared earlier on the number of robotic inspections that we do during the manufacturing process and during the maintenance, repair, and overall, we automated many of those processes. And once you automate that, you get a huge amount of data, and you want to have output that is reliable. So we went beyond theory to really put trustworthy and safety together. And that's what created what we call the Eliteir Framework, which is essentially a toolkit. It's a step-by-step process that walks you through providing assurance on the output that you're going to get to the analysis that you're doing using AI. The Eliteir actually comes from the Greek goddess after trust and disclosure. And the way we're using it internally is safety critical applications such as robotic and production flow lines, or even ethical processes such as CVs, shifting in HR processes to make sure that we're making the right decisions and there's no biases in there when it comes to sort of CV selections. So businesses have deployed it. We have 3 businesses: civil, defense, and power systems. There are essentially within the framework, there's 32 facets, and there's 3 significant categories that we focus on. One is the societal impact, the other is governance and trust, and the last one is full transparency. And as you go through the sort of the stage-by-stage process, you have to show evidence to show that, you know, we're taking all of that into consideration and before you can sort of complete the whole sort of framework. Then the key part really becomes on the how you end up using AI in real time. And what we have is a 5-step continuous automated process, which actually tracks the decision of the AI. So it does that in real time. And the reason for that is to ensure that we correct any biases that might be introduced. Even historical data will have biases. There might be one technician in a subject matter expert who say, actually, this part is faulty. Another one who might say, actually, no, this is passable. So there's biases inherently in there. There might be different biases, different geographies, or different sites and different facilities. And once we're looking at the output, we really start correcting all of those biases. So our focus is slightly a little bit different, which is on the output of the algorithms rather than the algorithms itself.
Got it. And I'm going to go to you, Muni, and just ask you, you know, do you think the discussions around AI are obscuring more fundamental conversations around the collection of data and the use of data from a kind of ethical perspective? And we have had a question in the chat box as well around this, which I'll kind of jump over to Mubasher following you, Muni. So if you could give your view, it'd be really interesting to hear.
Sure, certainly. So I think it falls into, again, different aspects of the question, right? For example, the collection of data itself, it's critical to have a transparent data privacy policy. So meaning not just confined by the legal papers. You put it in your website or somewhere clearly indicating how are you going to collect the data, how are you going to use the data, what is that you're looking at, and how your data will be used to take some decisions, right? So it needs to be clearly communicated. So but that's at least non-AI part that the companies can do. So this can be very well integrated into your data and AI strategy. So meaning you don't look at ethics and your data AI strategy independently, but they should be closely coupled. That's first step. So let's say once you collect the data, right, then you need to have a strong and robust data governance in your organization. So which will clearly demark the sensitivity and the importance of some of the data that you collected, right? So meaning you need to demark and then put some policies and controls over the place to restrict the access to the data only to the people that are required. And then also make sure the quality and also all the aspects of the data are covered completely. So because data is fundamentally is what is going to flow into the AI, right? So once these 2 aspects are nailed down, then comes the third portion, right? Which is a critical component as well. When you want to integrate this data with AI is good, right? I mean, it gives you more insights, excellent insights with the data you collected. But it's pretty serious when you try to use it beyond your ethical obligations as a company or ethical requirements of a company. Let me give you an example, right? Face recognition. So everybody can use the phone and then it unlocks the phone with the facial recognition, right? So meaning in the back end, it collects a lot of your data points. For example, your eyes and basically the ethnicity, gender, age, all these kind of features, which is good. I mean, you can use it wherever it is appropriate. But if you integrate into a model and then the model differentially applies different decisions based on some of these attributes, for example, gender or age, so that's where the problem will be really critical, correct? And as an organization, in your ethical boundaries, you don't want to get in there. So the way we mitigate all this is to have an excellent AI governance framework. So when you're scaling up AI from few pilots and POCs to the use cases, right, to an integrated operating model, it's very, very important to look at the AI strategy coupled with the ethical and responsible factors. So and then in that AI and responsible factors, one of the important aspects here is the biasness and explainability. And then I would address the explainability first, right? It has to be by design, meaning when you design something in the AI, it should not be a black box as much as possible, right? Try to see if you can unlock the black box into meaningful attributes. I've taken this decision A because of A, 1, 2, 3 attributes. That needs to be clearly visible. And then it has to be by design. And second, most importantly, you need to review these AI models periodically for the biasness. So not just from your team, right? You should have a governance in place to have AI audits and reviews from an ethical boards or third-party organizations to make sure the models that are in the production are like ethically secure, right? I mean, it's operating in the ethical boundaries that is set. So all in all, forms you're part of the AI governance. And last but not the least, right? All these AI initiatives have to be human augmented. So meaning you don't put it like in a self-automatic mode and then let it take its own decisions, right? You should always have your red button to press when something is going wrong. And then for every decision it will take, there'll be like a human augmented decision-making process integrated. So all these will help you mitigate that the data privacy and then the way the data will be used in a more unbiased way. Sam. Hope that addresses the question.
Yeah, thanks, Muni. And one of the questions that came through the chat box is actually directed at you, Mubasher, is really around patient data, which obviously is really sensitive, and how you make sure that the data security integrity of the AI system is kind of modeled to make sure it's secure. I'm sure that's at the forefront of your mind.
It certainly is. And, you know, of course, patient data security is incredibly critical. And unfortunately, you know, I think this whole field has had a number of setbacks because of some, you know, quite high profile programs that haven't gone so well because of issues with patient data. And, you know, of course, understandably, that makes people lose confidence. And, you know, it really is presents a big setback for the whole sector. So I think it's everyone's responsibility to protect patient data, and, you know, whether that be an employee or the organization, and that's the approach we take. And so I think for us, really, it's all about adhering to standards, global standards such as ISO 27001, but also, you know, country-specific laws that protect data, such as HIPAA in the US. So, and you know, ensuring that those principles and those standards are something that don't just kind of sit at the top of the organization, but filter down to everyone across the organization, and that people are living and breathing by those standards. Because, you know, for us, it's such a critical part of our business that, you know, we just can't afford to get that wrong.
Thank you. A question that's kind of related to this as well has come through the chat box, and it's directed at you, Vicky, which is if you see industry-wide adoption of trustworthy AI in the near future, and should that be regulated by government or industry?
I think there's an opportunity here to really focus on transparency and collaboration. And the way we addressed the Eliteir Framework, we conducted a peer review, which brought together techs, academia, automotive, pharmacy, to really see not just what we're doing, but to really see where the wider applicability of such tool sets could also be used in various other industries. So we made our approach very much freeware, and the Eliteir Framework is, you know, you can download it from our website. It really is based around partnership and trust. We had, to the point earlier on, peer review and independent governance is hugely important. So we had UNESCO, which is a global consultation on AI ethics, also peer review our work. We're working with partners in London or with National Hospital of Neurology and Neurosurgery to identify mutations and, again, look at where unintended biases might be. So our approach is very much on making it transparent and making it freeware and making it much more of a collaborative approach, because we have to build this further. And it can't just be one approach fits all. We invite critiques to this framework that we've developed as well, because there's an opportunity to really advance from where we are to the journey ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, really interesting stuff. I'm going to come over to you, Nico. Infineon, you're setting up your first AI center in Singapore, as first global one for your organization, and you're leading that and developing that. What challenges have you faced, and why did you choose Singapore to do that?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I think generally speaking, it's a journey, and I guess has been multiple challenges, and they are evolving over time. That's for sure. But in the end, it's about taking the people along this journey here and bring this into the breadth or the width of the applications inside here. So it's really about creating this awareness of these technologies, the transparencies of these capability, and create this common sense of how these technologies can help everybody be more efficient, reach the next level, make life easier really here. How to take advantage of this data that is being generated there, but also at the same time to understand what the implications are for the humans when interacting with these machines that are getting increasingly smart, seemingly smart. What does it mean for the interaction? How can we handle these machines? How can we interact with them? Developing new ways of interaction with machines by means of new sensors, creating the right level of transparency, what data is being used and how it is being used, how the machines get to the conclusions or to a certain action that is coming there. So it is not everything that is possible with this data really makes sense. It's really to understand where the value is being created in the solution, how it creates value, and to focus on these things that then also can scale, but at the same time also to understand really how the insights work. We have heard many times already about the biases in the systems here, potential hidden effects. I think we can't treat these systems as black boxes. We're doing quite some activities, understanding and even research on creating this transparency inside the AI, understanding how the conclusions are being generated and how to make that transparent to the users. A second dimension really is here all this AI and implementing AI, taking advantage of AI. This is a team effort. It's a global collaborative team effort. It is not a single island where this is being implemented. So it's cross-functional, and this is really one of the aims of this RISE initiative that you just mentioned is that we founded in Singapore here, really bringing this AI knowledge, the skill set and this awareness to the entire team across all different functions that we have there, making sure that we understand where we can create value with using these technologies, how these then fit into our processes. It doesn't help really to create a nice solution which then the subsequent processes in our company wouldn't able to handle the input. So it's really to make sure that this is connected across the value chain. And the same applies, of course, then on the product side as well, how to make it easier for the customers to be successful here. So then with that, coming to the second part of your question, why Singapore? I think this is, first of all, it's a fantastic team that we have. We are really high skills there. It's a well-connected team right at the crossing point between how we work, how we design, how we manufacture, but also close as the Asia Pacific headquarters, close to the local markets, understanding the needs and the requirements of this market. And so it's a good connection point, but also on the other side, there's a fantastic ecosystem. We are working closely, for instance, with startups like in our coins, where we provide a means how to cooperate with startups at our facilities and jointly developing new solutions, creative, innovative solutions, really bringing things forward to the next level.
And how does your organization keep up to date with emerging AI technologies and solutions? Do you work with academics, universities, startups? How do you engage with them?
Yeah, certainly you named some of them already. It's a global and connected effort. It's a complete ecosystem around that helps us to get connected. There's government initiatives where we are participating, cross-industry collaboration initiatives, close collaboration with academia, universities and research institutes. Startup environment is also a very important one. really testing out new ideas together with them, helping them to scale these ideas, bring them larger, but also even within the company, leveraging the diversity that we have across the different regions, across the different types, the different cultural aspects, the different backgrounds that we have, bring those together and create this kind of culture of collaboration and exchange, learning from each other. This is part of the role of the Center of Excellence, really, to bring these people together, bring these teams together, exchange across these teams, learn from each other, and see what works, what is worthwhile to scale, where are some fundamentals that need to be governed and regulated, where we need to standardize, to scale, and to be fast and to get to the next level. These are some of the key points. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a village, doesn't it? I think everyone's got to be involved in this. I'm going to jump into the Q&A box because that's filling up nicely now. So I'm going to start with the first question, and this can be directed at anyone. So we'll see who wants to answer this first. Could some light be thrown on application of AI to interpretation and making decisions based on a particular situation or problem? And secondly to that, can AI predict possible future problems similar to the problem it has just solved? Who would like to answer that? Muni?
Yeah, so at least on the second part, right? Can AI predict the future? I think I have an interesting answer here. I don't know how many of you heard about something like quantum computing. I'm sure when you just connected to the event here, I think they played some videos and then they talked about quantum computing, right? So then advanced technologies like quantum computing at least will be able to see the scenarios in different aspects in like nanoseconds or milliseconds. And imagine you combine this with AI, at least you'll be able to predict the future in that milli or a nanoseconds. And investment banks and some of these hedge fund biggies are at the moment exploring these potential integration of AI with the quantum computing and able to successfully predict the stocks or movement of options and take a decision that'll impact the funds that they maintain positively. So I think at least that aspect is possible. But again, when it comes to the general prediction of the AI itself, it's all about your probability, right? So what is your confidence score or a metrics or a percentage of confidence in which you predict? So you need to deal with that. So probably you need to understand what the clear line when it is not crossing the boundary and when it crosses the boundary. Hope that addressed the question.
Vicky?
I'll jump in here as well. We kind of like do predict a part of the future when it comes to predictive maintenance. And this is about taking data across the whole value chain of activities, from inventory to logistics to supply chain, through operation, through in-service, MRO data, stitching it all together so you can get a much more insightful insight into how the engine is performing. And what I mean by predictive maintenance is you actually start doing scheduled maintenance and planning ahead. So before things go wrong, you're already doing the right maintenance that's required. So you send the right part, the right service engineer, with the right tool at the right place at the right time. And by planning and really sort of getting that right, you have a huge amount of benefit for the customer, and you reduce so much cost from your organization as well. So it depends what the time interval that we're looking at, but we do this, in advance of months and sometimes even years in terms of the scheduled maintenance that we have.
Thanks, Vicky. And I'm going to stick with you and then maybe move on to Mubasher for this next question, which is how do you get your workers ready and people ready for AI who maybe have, are not technical, but they're just, your regular workers? How do you involve them and ensure that they're on board with the AI technologies?
And that's a really powerful question, and something that we've been addressing for quite a few years. It really depends on the culture of your organization and how we're all collectively moving together. Now, we started an approach that was, bring your problem statements to the center of excellence, you'll get a solution, and then off you go. but that doesn't really work because there's a separation. We need to, AI is for everyone, data is for everyone, and being part of that sort of solution is how you sort of get the whole sort of inertia moving. So we started putting little centers on our floor lines in the shop floor, where actually, if there's a challenge that you have, come and speak to the experts and co-develop the solution, be part of that team, and then take the solution away and actually apply it. And being that agile and in the culture, and our experts with the R² Data Labs continue to communicate with all parts of the organization, of all the small successes that we've had within the organization, outside the organization, how we're promoting STEM, how we're engaging with schools in this area. So all of this, it has to touch our employees, because the employees are only going to move forward with you if they believe in the journey ahead. So it's a really powerful question. You can't rush it. We've taken years to get to this stage, and we're progressing, and we're a industrial technology company, and digital is at the heart of our strategy, together with electrification. But digital really is at the heart of the strategy, and people at the heart of that to get us there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much like any technology as it comes through, it gets adoption as you kind of continue on, don't you? So Mubasher, I guess it's a bit of a different question for you, but around the patients and, you know, GPs and doctors and others that you work with. Have you had issues there?
I think we certainly, you know, have seen a curve of early adopters who were the kind of more tech savvy doctors and the more tech savvy patients. But now we're offering the service at scale. You know, we've had to use different approaches, you know, so we've had to create bespoke training for the doctors, create our own digital health curriculum to train doctors to upskill and learn things that they didn't learn at medical school. And for patients, you know, we've had to use things like patient participation groups, which have been really effective to get actually other patients involved in teaching other patients how to use these kind of technologies and helping them understand it, as well as their carers and so on. So we've had to deploy quite a variety of different methods to, I guess, bring people along the journey, whether it be professionals or the patients that we serve.
Thank you. I'm really conscious of time. There's so many more questions in the chat box, unfortunately. A lot around how do you work with scale-ups and can they help with your business problems? And one of the things as a digital trade network that TechNation are involved in is working with big corporates across the world and helping UK companies tap into those opportunities. So I'm sure that's similar to what the SGInnovate teams do for Singapore companies as well. So you can always contact me and my teams if you're based in the UK, and we can try and connect you. But I'm hoping that we have to unfortunately wrap up there, but thank you very much, and I'm going to pass on to Wyman. Thank you very much for all of your time. That was really interesting. We could have gone on for another hour, I'm sure, with all the questions in the inbox.
Yep, thank you, Sam. This was a wonderful session with our speakers here, and also I think definitely if there's an opportunity, we should have another or such event of such a scale to really share more with our audience the insights on AI and how corporates can actually drive, you know, this technology forward. That being said, I'd like to still represent SGInnovate to thank all the attendees that stayed with us until now. Also, a very big thank you to our speakers, Vicky, Mubasher, Muni, and Nicole. Great insights and discussion today shared by everybody. And also once again for the attendees, do keep a lookout for our post-event mail, which will contain a recording of this session. Do reach out to us at events@sginnovate.com if you'd like to connect with any of our speakers or to have a chat with us for collaboration opportunities. Do also remember to give us your post-event feedback when you exit the webinar or through the post-event mail as well. With that, this is Wyman signing out from this webinar. Hope everyone have a great day ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hope to have you again in our next webinar session. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.